Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Yolande. And today I'm gonna do a video on how to stop overthinking. I'm just going to give a few tips. Again, it's something that I went through so badly, and then when I speak about it, I literally feel like I'm downplaying it because it was so bad, and I know how much it can affect you if you feel you haven't got control over this situation. Also, overthinking can lead to so many things. So it can lead to anxiety, depression, self-sabotage. There's so many things that it can impact in your life, and if you already go through anxiety and that kind of thing, they kind of go hand in hand with each other. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a few tips, and I really hope this helps someone. The first thing I would say, if you are overthinking a lot, is speak to someone. Speak to a friend, speak to a family member, or speak to a therapist. Again, whoever you're going to speak to, just make sure that they are someone that you can really trust, and you feel that whatever you speak about with them is going to be in confidence. Because some of the things that when you're overthinking, some of the things that go through your head, honestly, you just don't want to just say that to anyone, but just speak to someone who you feel comfortable with. And I do think speaking to someone helps because it helps you to put some of your thoughts in perspective. When you're overthinking, you can feel so alone, and it's so helpful to speak to someone and have someone validate your feelings and thoughts and say, no, that's normal. I think, because that helped me so much. Having people just validate some of the things that I thought were irrational and too much helped me so much. So I think that's one of the amazing things about speaking to someone. The other thing I would say is write it down. I journal a lot, so I tend to write my feelings down a lot. But if you're not someone that journals all the time, when you're starting to notice that you're having irrational thoughts, start to just write it down. When I'm at work, I don't have my journal on me, so I'll just literally get a piece of paper, fold it, and then I'll start to write. Just take a moment, write my thoughts down. Or if I'm out, I'll get my phone and start to jot things down in my notepad. If I'm having like an overwhelming moment and overthinking something, and usually you overthink when there's a small situation that you feel is out of your control. So I would just journal that down. The good thing about journaling is when you've written it down, you've kind of taken all these thoughts out of your head and put them on paper. And when they're on paper, you can physically see them, and you can read them back and make sense of what is going through your head, and find some kind of solution for that. The other thing that I would say is acknowledge the overthinking that's going on. Don't run away from it. I used to do, oh my God, I used to get so overwhelmed by my thoughts. I wouldn't just sit back and acknowledge it. Where now, if I have a moment where I'm overthinking, I don't get flustered. My anxiety doesn't flare up and I don't feel out of control. I actually sit back and I will just rationally say, why am I thinking like this? Okay, what made me think like that? What happened? And it helps so much, because when you get overwhelmed, then it just becomes a vicious cycle. Your thoughts are spinning around, you're all over the place, and you just don't know what to do with yourself, and it feels horrible. It's a horrible feeling, and it's a horrible place to be. So I would just, as scary as it can be, don't be scared, because these are literally thoughts. And even though sometimes some thoughts can have such a sting in the tail, don't be scared. Just sit down, acknowledge why you're overthinking, why you're feeling overwhelmed, and just take your time and breathe out. Again, it's easier said than done, because it took me about 2 years to actually get to this place, and it's constant practice and retraining your brain to think in a different way. Once you start to acknowledge these things, you start to spot your overthinking processes a lot quicker. So when you feel like your thoughts start to race, you spot them a lot quicker. And the other thing I would say is that when you start to spot that you're in a cycle of overthinking, then you can start replacing these thoughts. Once you've acknowledged it, catch yourself and start to change these thoughts. When you're overthinking about something, just calm yourself down and think of something rational that you would use to replace it. Because I think the thing about overthinking, you know that you're in a spiral, but because you're in a spiral, you're overwhelmed, and because you're overwhelmed, you can't stop. So try to soothe yourself, calm yourself down, and then come back to the thought and think of something rational to replace it. For me, it comes so much quicker now. As soon as I start to overthink, I think, no. I haven't got time for this right now. That isn't true. And I just keep it moving. I've got an example. There's someone that I used to know quite well. I used to be quite close with them, but they're not someone I'm close to anymore. We still get on when I see them, but we aren't really close anymore. I saw them in the supermarket, and for some reason in my head they kind of looked directly at me and looked away, and I thought, what the hell, like, I thought we were cool. I walked away and just left the supermarket. But a couple of years ago, that would have been going around in my head for ages. I'd be thinking, what have I done? Did they not like me? Are they going to say this about me? Are they going to say I did this? And are they going to say I did that? And when I left the supermarket, I was just like, what the hell was that? But the thing that I said to myself is, it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. That's someone that you're not as close to anymore. You don't see them as much anymore. So maybe it's just distance why they haven't spoken to you. Strangely enough, that later that night, that person contacted me. They don't have my number, but they said they literally went out of their way to try and find my number from someone and got it from one of my family members. They called me and they were like, I needed to call you because I know that you are an overthinker, you overthink everything, and I didn't want you to think there was a problem. And you know what? I was so grateful that they called me. I thought, what a beautiful thing to do and what a caring thing to do, which made me respect them so much. But that ain't who I am anymore. And then that made me realise that I am over that I'm kind of far from that place of where I used to be in my life. Because a couple of years ago, guys, my thoughts were a mess. But them calling me and saying, I wanted to contact you, I just didn't want you to feel bad because I know that you're an overthinker, I know that you get overwhelmed. I was like, no, it's cool, like, it's fine. We later went on to just have a nice conversation, catch up, and that was it. But I'm just saying, it takes time. So please be gentle on yourself and just keep doing it and keep practicing. Like anything, you have to, like with any kind of exercise, this is exercising your mind. You're gonna have to continue to train it for it to change. And one thing I would say as well is overthinking can be just a bad habit. It can be just a bad habit. I'm not speaking about when you are going through anxiety and I'm speaking about sometimes when just irrational thinking can be a bad habit, because I was, as well as being anxious, I was in a vicious cycle, and it was a bad habit because I'd wake up and I'd be fine, I'd be out and about, and I realised as soon as I got home and I was by myself, I started to overthink. It is a bad habit. So what I started to do is to find things to actually do. Don't just sit there and get carried away in my thoughts. So there's so many little things you can do. You can get crossword searches. That's one of the things that I started to do when I started this journey. I got crossword puzzles, and I used to do crossword puzzles. I went to the gym and I exercised a lot. The serotonin makes a big difference to your mind and the function of it. So I'd exercise. I stopped just sitting in the house by myself all the time, and I'd go and socialize with my friends to take my mind off things, because when my mood was lifted, then I had no space in myself to be overthinking about things that didn't serve me or just didn't need to be thought about. So sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of the time, overthinking can become a bad habit that we've done for a long time and we continue to do. So I would look at that and try to take yourself out of that habit. Like with every habit, it takes a lot of time to change, but just keep going at it, keep trying to change your thoughts. I hope this video helped. It's a very short one today, but I just wanted to quickly speak about this. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and please like. Also, don't forget to comment below to let me know what you think. If there's any tips that you'd like to give me, please let me know, because I'm always happy to take on a tip or two. Bye.